What's going on, my exotic family? It's your boy Dre. Welcome back to another video. So today's video we're going to be talking things you should keep in mind when keeping large snakes. There's a lot of large snakes out there, and most of which are in the hobby, and there's just a few tips and tricks you want to keep in mind if you want to keep these guys healthy and safely. But before we get into that, let's jump to the intro. Alright everybody, welcome back to the video. So like I stated, we're going to be talking tips and tricks of keeping big snakes. And when I mean big snakes, I mean, you know, the big boys, the Burmese, the African rock pythons, the retics, the anacondas, things of that nature. Those guys get fairly large. With the large snake or large reptile, large animal in general, it's going to come with more work as well as more awareness, because these guys can be dangerous. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Right here is my boy Luther. Luther is a 6.5 foot boa, and he's currently my biggest snake. Now, I know you guys are thinking he's not super huge, although he is a large snake. No, I just kind of want to throw out there, although he's not super huge, it is important. It doesn't necessarily matter what the size of the snake is. If you're not educated on the snake you are keeping, any snake of any size can be potentially dangerous. But in this case, Luther being 6.5 foot, he can definitely do some damage. But like I said, he's not the focus of the video. This is the focus of the video. I know you guys are thinking he's not big at all, in which is perfectly understandable. This is Zeus, my Burmese python. He is a granite Burmese python, and as most of you all know, Burmese pythons are some of the largest snakes in the world. They can get up to 15-17 feet. He's a male, so I'll probably stick around 10 to 13 foot, however, which is still a fairly large snake. Which brings me to my first point. When keeping these guys, please make sure when they are full grown, you always have someone in the room with you. Whether they're defensive or not, it's just easier that way, and it's safer for you, and also less stressful on the snake, because you can have more than one person to help you remove the snake, whether it's maintenance, whether it's feeding, whatever it is you need to do. It's just a lot safer that way for everyone. As well as making sure you have a secure enclosure. Now with these guys getting, you know, huge, and I mean huge, you cannot go cheap on the enclosure. These guys aren't super expensive, however, a cheap enclosure is not something that I would advise, especially putting these guys in fish tanks. As a baby, it's okay, but once they get up to, you know, that 5-6 foot range, I would definitely look into getting them a custom enclosure, preferably with sliding glass doors. If you do a screen top, it really doesn't matter what you put on top of it. These guys will find a way out. They're very strong snakes. I mean, these snakes can get up to 100 pounds, and that is 100 pounds of muscle. So that's definitely not something you want to leave up to chance, especially if you have kids, smaller animals, or, you know, just in general loved ones that aren't, you know, a fan of reptiles. You definitely, you know, want to keep them in the enclosure. And even the animal itself, you don't want your snake getting out hurting himself. You don't want anything to happen to him, so don't go cheap in the enclosure. Make sure that when you purchase this animal, that this is an animal that you can care for its entire life, not just as a baby, because they look really pretty. You know, he's a cute little fella, although he can be a little bit of an a-hole sometimes. Good looking snake. However, these guys do not stay this small, and they can go through moments where they have a little bit of an attitude. So for me, you guys see me use them on Instagram a lot, and that is a snake hook. I use it with Luther, my carpet python, pretty much all of my snakes. I have 3. I have a 4-foot one, I have a 2-foot one, and I have a really small one, which I use for my smaller snakes like this guy, my white lip python, because they can be quite nippy. It's a very useful tool. It's not something that I'm just urging you guys to buy just because I use it. It's in fact a tool to help you with keeping snakes, especially if you are keeping larger snakes. Now if you have a ball python, it's probably not something you have to go out and get. However, when keeping boas, retics, burms, anacondas, anything that has the ability to get 8 4 foot plus, or even 6 foot rather, because they can inflict they can inflict some damage on you. It is definitely something helpful to have for a couple reasons. It puts distance between you and the snake if they are defensive. It's a great way to guide the snake if you're unsure of what they're doing, but it also is a great way to help the snake distinguish being fed and not being fed. So it's personally worked for me. The only snakes I really get bit by are my smaller snakes, and I mean, that's just kind of the nature, I guess. They're babies, not quite used to me yet, but it's okay. And I don't mind being bit. However, when you have a snake that is 6 foot plus, that is not a bite that I want to take. That is not something that I want to take at all on any day. If I get bit, okay, cool. But if I can avoid it, you damn right I'm gonna avoid it. So make sure you do everything you can to educate yourself on these animals. Don't just get it because you think it's pretty and it's gonna get massive. That is not why you get an animal. Do all of your research, do all of your education. Which brings me to my very last point, feeding. With a big snake comes big meals. Please do not power feed. If you power feed, not only is it not healthy, then you have a snake that's growing at a rapid rate that you can't control and you're not ready for. So if you get a snake and you're not ready for it to be 12 plus feet, make sure you research and get your proper feeding schedule. So you don't have a snake, that's a year-old Burmese and he's 12 foot already. That's not what you want. It's not healthy for the snake, and it's ultimately not healthy for you because you didn't take your time to actually establish a bond with the animal so he knows that you're not a threat. You let the snake grow out of control way too fast, and now you have this defensive animal that you can't control. So with all of that said, I want to throw a quick disclaimer out there which kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said. I have a lot of people that hit me up on Instagram asking about a lot of the animals that I have, the caiman, the Burmese python, the tegu, things, my more advanced animals. I just want to make sure that I say this very loud and clear. Do not go out and get these animals just because you think they're cool. Make sure you do your research. Make sure you are ready for it. Look up a particular animal when it's an adult. Look up their lifespan. Make sure you can handle that. Reason I say that is because I don't just get these animals just because they're cool. Although these are animals that I have prior experience with, or animals that I've researched and I know I'm ready for. It's just not fair to the animal that you get it and you're not prepared for it, or you're scared of it, or it dies because of improper husbandry. And that goes for any animal, not just reptiles. Make sure you do your research. Don't just go out and get something and think you can just feed it and expect it not to be this massive animal. 'Cause like I said, these guys get massive, and if you can't handle that, it is not for you. But anyways, guys, those are the tips and tricks that I have for you guys. Tips and tricks that I use myself, as well as plan to use for this guy in the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you did like the video. Drop that like, hit the like button, and drop a comment for me down at the bottom. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. Stay clean, stay healthy, stay exotic.